Our kitchen smelled like coffee and lemon cleaner. Morning light on the counter. Ordinary stuff that used to mean something. Rachel stood across from me with her arms folded like she was bracing for wind. No trembling. No shame. Just that steady look people get when they've already rehearsed the outcome. "I've been thinking," she said. I didn't answer. I watched her mouth like it belonged to someone else. "I want to sleep with someone else." The sentence landed clean. No stumble, no apology. Not a question. "Can we talk?" Now I messed up. It was an announcement. A plan she'd already accepted, dressed up as honesty to make it sound brave. I felt something inside me go cold, quiet, final, almost polite, like a door closing so perfectly it doesn't even slam. I set my mug down. The ceramic click was loud in that room. "You already picked him," I said. Her jaw tightened. "It's not like that." "It is exactly like that." She stepped forward half a pace, then stopped, like she expected negotiation to start automatically. Like I was supposed to bargain for my own place in my own marriage. "I'm trying to be honest with you," she said. "We could." "No." One word. Not angry, just done. Her eyes widened, and for the first time I saw a crack in her confidence. She'd built this conversation around the assumption that I'd fight to keep her, that I'd perform for her guilt. I didn't. I turned and walked down the hall to our bedroom. The house felt smaller with every step, like it was already not mine. I pulled a duffel from the closet. Clothes first. Jeans. Work shirts. Socks. Then the folder with the important papers, passport, birth certificate, the stuff you don't leave behind when a person shows you they're willing to burn the whole structure and call it growth. My wedding ring sat heavy on my hand. A circle of metal that had meant we chose each other. I slid it off and set it on the dresser like evidence. Behind me, her footsteps got frantic. "Michael, wait. What are you doing?" I zipped the bag. Calm hands. Military simple movements. "You're overreacting," she said, voice climbing. "This is just a conversation." I finally looked at her. "No. A conversation is two people deciding something together. This is you asking me to approve what you've already decided." Her face shifted. Panic trying to borrow the shape of outrage. "So you're just going to leave?" I picked up the duffel. "You ended it. I'm just not staying for the part where you rename it." She reached for my arm. I stepped back. The front door opened with a soft hinge sigh. The Texas heat hit my face like a hand. Behind me, her voice cracked. "Michael, please." I didn't turn around. I didn't need one more look at a woman trying to rebrand betrayal as honesty. I walked to my truck, shut the door, and the silence inside that cab felt like the first honest thing I'd had all morning. Tuesday morning had no business being memorable. Sprinklers clicked out front, throwing mist across the lawn like it was proud of itself. Coffee dripped in the machine. Rachel moved fast. Hair still damp, blouse half-buttoned. Makeup bag open like a small explosion on the counter. She was in that running late but acting like it's fine mode. Phone on the island. Screen face up. Vibrating every few minutes with the usual noise, calendar pings, group texts, whatever. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't hunting. I was standing there rinsing my mug when her phone lit up and the name hit my eyes like a slap. Samantha HR. I knew her office had an HR department. I knew names came and went. The label should have meant nothing, but something about it felt staged. Too neat. Too safe. The phone kept buzzing. Rachel was in the hallway, calling back, "Babe, can you hand me my?" It buzzed again, and without thinking, I picked it up and swiped to answer. Same way you'd answer your spouse's phone if they were elbows deep in chaos and couldn't reach it. "Hello." A man's voice came through like he belonged there. Comfortable, mid-conversation energy. "Hey, so are we still on for lunch today?" I didn't say anything at first. I just breathed. There was a beat on the other end like his brain hit a wall. "Who is this?" he asked, suddenly careful. "This is Michael," I said. "Her husband." Silence. Not confusion, calculation. Then the man's voice changed. Smaller. Tight. "Oh, sorry, wrong number." Click. He hung up fast, like the line itself could burn him. I stared at the screen. The cracked corner caught the light, spidering across her wallpaper photo. Us at a beach 2 summers ago, her head on my shoulder, both of us smiling like we weren't standing on a trapdoor. I didn't move. I didn't need more. Nobody saves a man under a woman's name by accident. Not a man who knows your schedule well enough to ask if you're still on for lunch like it's a standing thing. Rachel came back into the kitchen, tying her hair up, moving too fast, talking too light. "Who was that?" she asked, eyes flicking to the phone in my hand. I kept my face neutral. "Samantha from HR," I said. Her smile froze for half a second, just long enough. Then she tried to laugh it off. "Oh, it's nothing. It's just work stuff. Work stuff doesn't hang up like that. Work stuff doesn't get quiet when a husband answers." She reached for the phone like it was a reflex, like it was a part of her body she'd left on the counter. I handed it to her. No tug of war, no drama, but my gut had already spoken. One wrong detail, one voice too familiar, and just like that, the kitchen stopped being a kitchen. It became a room where I finally understood I'd been living next to something I wasn't allowed to name. Rachel went into the bathroom and shut the door like she could seal the moment behind it. I didn't follow. I didn't pace. I just stood in the kitchen and waited, listening to the shower kick on, water pounding like it had somewhere urgent to be. My coffee went cold on the counter. So did everything else. When she came out, she was wrapped in a towel, hair dripping, skin pink from the heat. She looked clean. That's what made it worse. How normal she tried to look. I held up my phone. Calm voice, same tone I'd use asking about a grocery list. "Who was the guy that just called you?" Her face changed before her words did. Color drained out of her cheeks like someone pulled a plug. Her shoulders tightened. Her eyes widened just a fraction and then narrowed, like she was trying to force the panic back down where it belonged. "What?" she said too fast. "The call," I said, saved as Samantha, HR. Man's voice. "Asked if you're still on for lunch." She swallowed. I watched her throat work. She tried to blink her way back into control, and when she couldn't, she went to the only tool she had left. Offense. "Why are you answering my phone?" she snapped. "That's invasive, Michael." There it was. The flip. The attempt to make me the problem so she wouldn't have to be. "I answered it because it rang," I said. "Like a normal married couple." "That's not normal," she said, voice rising. "It's controlling." I stared at her. "You're calling me controlling because a man who knows your lunch schedule called you under a fake name." Her lips parted. Closed. Parted again. She looked down at her phone in her hand like it might tell her what to say. She started. I didn't help her. Silence is a pressure you don't have to apply. You just let it sit. Her eyes lifted back to mine, and in them I saw the shift from anger to calculation. She tried a smaller voice. "It's not what you think." "Then explain it," I said. She exhaled hard, like she was the one suffering. "Okay, fine. His name is Dylan." The name landed heavy. A real name. And she clutched the phone tighter, thumb resting over the screen like she was guarding a wound. "We've met up," she said. "For lunch. That's it." "How long?" I asked. She hesitated. Not because she didn't know, because she knew the number had weight. "Since June," she said. "June. That was months. That was routine. That was planning, not a slip." "And you saved him as Samantha HR. Because?" I asked. Her eyes flashed. "Because I knew you'd react like this." "Like what?" I asked. "Like a husband who isn't stupid?" She opened her mouth, then shut it. The towel shifted on her body as she tightened her grip on it, like covering skin could cover truth. "It hasn't been physical," she said quickly, like she was tossing me a bone. "We just talk. He gets me." I cut in. "Show me the messages." She didn't move. "Rachel," I said, voice steady. "Show me." Her hand curled around the phone like it was life support. "No," she said. That one word told me more than any confession ever could. "If it's just lunch," I said, "then it's just messages." She shook her head, eyes bright now, defensive tears forming like her body needed an escape route. "You'll twist it." You'll blow it up. You'll use it against me. I don't need to, I said. You're doing a great job of that on your own. She stared at me like she expected me to soften, like she expected me to argue, to plead, to accept the terms she was offering. But I was already past that, because when someone refuses transparency, it's not the privacy they're protecting. It's the thing they're still choosing. After she said no, I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I didn't demand the phone again like it was going to magically turn her into an honest person. I just went quiet. That quiet scared her more than anger would have. Anger is something you can work with. Quiet is a man stepping out of the argument and into the facts. Rachel hovered in the doorway like she wanted to keep talking, to keep shaping the story while it was still soft. Michael, you're making this bigger than it is, she said. I didn't answer. I walked to the dining table, pulled my laptop toward me, and opened it like I was starting a workday. Her eyes followed me. What are you doing? Checking something, I said. She scoffed, trying to reclaim power. Oh my God. I signed into our bank account, the joint one she'd used for years without thinking twice. She'd always said we were a team. Shared life, shared money, shared plans. I scrolled through transactions with the same patience I used when a problem at work needed solving. No emotion, just pattern recognition. Restaurants, midday charges. The same names repeating like a drumbeat. La Mesa Grill, Bluebird Cafe, Oak and Rye. Not expensive enough to stand out. Not cheap enough to be random. Just consistent. I opened my calendar next. Not hers, mine. The one I'd used to schedule meetings, doctor appointments, anniversaries, oil changes. The one that recorded my days like a quiet witness. I matched dates. Wednesday, Rachel late, client call. Charge at La Mesa at 12:37 p.m. Friday. Rachel lunch with the team. Charge at Oak and Rye at 1:05 p.m. Next Wednesday. Next Friday. Again. Week after week. Like it was as normal as groceries. Behind me, Rachel shifted her weight. The sound of bare feet on tile. This is insane, she said. I kept scrolling. June, July, August, September, October. My jaw tightened. Not from rage, but from the sheer clarity of it. Months of my life built on her casual lies. Months of me believing her when she said, work ran long, or we had a team thing, or I didn't have time to text. I wasn't building a case for court. I was building a timeline for myself so I would never again doubt what my gut already knew. I heard her voice soften, trying a different angle. It was just lunch. I looked over my shoulder. Then why the fake name? She flinched. Because I didn't want this. That's not an answer, I said. She crossed her arms again, but it wasn't confidence anymore. It was armor. He's a friend you hide, I said. She took a step forward, eyes sharp. We didn't do anything. I nodded once, slow. So you've been meeting a man twice a week for months, saving him under a woman's name, and refusing to show me the messages. And you want me to believe it's harmless. Her mouth opened, then closed. The fight leaked out of her face as the math caught up. I turned the screen slightly so she could see the repeating charges. I didn't shove it at her. I didn't need to. This is a pattern, I said. Not a mistake. She stared at it, and for a second she looked like she might finally drop the performance. Then she whispered, almost angry at herself. It just started as talking. There it was. The story is cracking. Started, I repeated. She looked away. I didn't mean for feelings to happen. Feelings. The word she'd been trying to avoid because feelings make it real. Feelings turn just lunch into something with intention. I shut the laptop gently. Not a slam. A conclusion. While I was paying attention to our life, I said, you were running another one next to it. She shook her head fast, like denial could rewind time. You're acting like I had a whole relationship. I held her gaze. If it looks like one, schedules like one, hides like one, and costs like one, what do you think it is? She didn't answer, because the truth had finally gotten too sharp to hold. She didn't cry right away. That's what people expect. Tears, begging, a collapse. Rachel did something worse. She sat at the kitchen table like we were negotiating a lease, not the wreckage of a marriage. She pulled the towel tighter around her, then grabbed a sweatshirt off the chair and shoved it on like it gave her authority. "I don't want to lose you," she said. I watched her carefully. That sentence can mean a lot of things. With Rachel, I could already tell it meant she didn't want to lose the comfort of me. "Then why are we here?" I asked. She exhaled and rubbed her temples, performing exhaustion like I was the one wearing her out. "Because things haven't been good for a while." "That's not true," I said. "Things haven't been exciting for you for a while. There's a difference." Her eyes flashed. "Don't do that." "Don't do what?" "Make it sound like I'm some kind of villain," she said. "I'm just being honest about what I need." There it was again. Honesty as a costume. I leaned back in my chair. "What do you need, Rachel?" She hesitated like she wanted the words to land softer than they were. Then she lifted her chin, committing. "I don't think monogamy is natural," she said. "Not for everyone. It feels restrictive." I stared at her. The calm in my chest sharpened into a blade. "So this is the part where you tell me you've grown?" I asked. She bristled. "I'm serious." "I'm serious too," I said. "You hid a man under a fake name." She swallowed and pushed forward anyway, like momentum would carry her through. "What if we open things up?" she said. "Not like chaos, just something with rules. Communication. We could explore without lying." I actually laughed once. No humor in it, just disbelief. "Explore," I repeated. She leaned in, voice urgent now. "We could stay together, keep our life, our home, our everything. This doesn't have to destroy us." And that was the poison in the pitch. She was offering me a deal. "Let me keep what I started, and you can keep the version of me you're used to. Everyone wins." But I could see the truth underneath it, clear as glass. She wasn't asking for repair. She was asking for permission, for a clean signature on a dirty act. "You want an open marriage?" I said slowly. "Because you're already halfway out the door." Her face tightened. "That's not fair." "It's accurate," I said. "If this was about truth, you would have come to me before Dylan, not after." She flinched at his name. "Good. Names make it real." "You're making this about him," she said. "No," I said, voice low. "I'm making it about you, about your character." She shook her head, eyes shining now, trying to pull me back with emotion. "People do this. Couples do this and they're fine. It can make us stronger." I held her gaze. "If you need another man to tolerate being my wife, then you're not my wife." The silence after that was heavy. She looked at me like she couldn't believe I was refusing to play the part she'd written. "You're really going to throw everything away?" she whispered. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't call her names. I just told the truth. "You threw it away when you tried to sell betrayal like it was a solution." I didn't storm off. Storming is for people still trying to be seen. I moved like a man getting out of a building with smoke under the door. Back in the bedroom, I packed fast and practical. No souvenirs. No sentimental junk. I grabbed what mattered: clothes, laptop, charger, toiletries. Then the hard stuff: passport, social security card, the folder with our insurance papers, and the deed copy I tucked away years ago, just in case. Rachel followed me down the hall, barefoot, voice climbing and cracking in turns. "Michael, stop. Please. You're being dramatic." I didn't answer. She tried a different tone, sharper. "You can't just leave. We need to talk this through." We had talked. She'd pitched it like a business proposal. That was her version of through. I zipped the duffel and set it by the door. My ring was still on the dresser where I left it. I picked it up, felt the weight, then set it down again, this time on the kitchen counter, right where she could see it. That little circle of metal made her face go white. "No," she said, like the ring was the real divorce. "Michael, don't do this." I slipped my wallet into my pocket and grabbed my keys. She stepped in front of the door. Not aggressive, panicked. Like she realized too late that she'd pushed a lever and the machine didn't stop. "Where are you going?" she asked. "A place I can think of," I said. You're not seriously. Move, I said, still calm, still final. She stared at me, searching for the crack, for the part of me that would fold. When she didn't find it, she stepped aside like she had no choice. Outside, the Texas heat hit me hard. The sun was already up, bright and mean, and the air had that baked smell. Concrete, grass, gasoline. I breathed it in like it was medicine. Rachel came onto the porch behind me, voice breaking. We can fix this. I didn't turn. You don't fix a thing you're still trying to keep. I walked to my truck. Duffel in the back seat. The door shut. The interior smelled like leather and dust and normal life. For a second I just sat there, hands on the wheel, listening to my own breathing. Not because I was weak, because I needed one clean moment before I drove into whatever came next. Then I started the engine and pulled out. I didn't have to think about where to go. My body already knew. Jake Lawson's place was across town, in a quiet neighborhood with old trees and garages full of tools. Jake was the kind of friend who didn't perform comfortably. He just provided it. When I knocked, he opened the door in a faded t-shirt and jeans, took one look at my face, and stepped back. Come in, he said. No questions. No jokes. No, what happened? Like it was a movie. I dropped the duffel by the couch. The sound of it hitting the floor felt like letting go of a weight I'd been carrying without knowing. Jake handed me a bottle of water. You eat. Not hungry. Still should, he said, and nodded toward the kitchen like it wasn't optional. I sat on his couch and stared at his blank TV screen. The quiet in his house was different from my house. It didn't feel like a trap. Jake sat across from me, elbows on his knees. Talk. So I did. Not every detail. Not the whole mess. Just the core. She wants to sleep with someone else, I said. I tried to pitch it like honesty. Jake's face tightened in that slow, controlled way men get when they're trying not to explode on someone else's behalf. He didn't say, I'm sorry. He didn't ask how I felt. He said the one thing I needed to hear, simple and true. You didn't ruin anything today, he told me. You finally saw what's been rotting. I slept maybe 2 hours on Jake's couch. Not real sleep, just the kind where your eyes close and your brain keeps pacing. When the sun came up, I sat there in the gray light and listened to the house settle. Jake was already up, moving around quietly, making coffee like routine could hold a man together when everything else failed. I didn't want revenge. Revenge keeps you tied to the person who cut you. It's still a relationship, just uglier. What I wanted was peace. Clean exit. A line drawn so straight I wouldn't be tempted to wobble later. I unlocked my phone and scrolled to a number I'd saved years ago and prayed I'd never use. Divorce attorney. It had been a practical thing, like keeping a fire extinguisher under the sink. I hit call. A receptionist answered. I gave my name. My voice was flat, steady, professional, like I was scheduling a meeting for work. Within an hour, I was in a chair with a legal pad, writing down the boring truths that become weapons when people stop being honest. Account numbers, assets, debts, property dates, insurance policies. Jake slid a plate of eggs in front of me. I ate because my hands were shaking slightly and I didn't want them to. Any chance she's going to play nice? He asked. I thought about Rachel's face in the kitchen. The confidence. The fake calm. The pitch. No, I said. Not if it costs her anything. He nodded like that was all he needed. I spent the morning pulling statements and screenshots. Bank history. Joint credit cards. The mortgage. Retirement accounts. I photographed documents I'd kept in a folder at home. Before leaving, I'd grabbed what mattered. And now I was grateful I'd moved like a man who expects the world to get ugly. By early afternoon, I was sitting in a quiet office across from a woman in a blazer who didn't blink when I said the words out loud. My wife wants an open marriage, I told her. She's been meeting a guy for lunch for months. I'm done. The attorney didn't moralize. She didn't gasp. She just asked questions that mattered. Any kids? No. Shared property? Yes. Any history of abuse or threats? No. Do you want to attempt counseling first? I pictured Rachel saying monogamy feels restrictive like it was a TED Talk. I pictured the fake contact name, the refusal to show messages, the months, Staying would mean bargaining with my own self-respect. Calling it working on us while she kept shopping for replacements. No, I said. I want to file. The attorney slid papers across the desk, explaining timelines and procedures in a calm voice. It all sounded distant, like I was watching my own life from the outside. Then she turned the documents toward me. Pen waiting. This was the moment people hesitate because the signature makes it real. I didn't hesitate. I signed. Not because I was fearless. Because I understood something simple. The marriage was already over. All I was doing now was making the ending official on paper before Rachel could twist the story into something that made me the villain. When I stood up to leave, the attorney nodded once. "We'll serve her," she said. I walked out into the afternoon sun feeling hollow, but clean, like a bone that's finally been set straight, even if it still hurts. The day after I filed, the world decided it had an opinion. It started with my phone buzzing like it hated silence. Rachel first. A flood of texts that came in waves. Apologies, anger, confusion, then apologies again. She rotated through emotions like she was searching for the right key. "Rach, please talk to me. Rach, you can't do this without me. Rach, I made a mistake. Rach, why are you being so cold?" Cold. That word again, like my self-control was a crime. Then a voice note, her crying, but not in a way that sounded like remorse. More like panic. Like someone who'd finally realized consequences weren't just a concept. I didn't listen to the whole thing. 10 seconds told me what it was. A performance meant to pull me back into the same loop. I deleted it. Jake watched me from the kitchen, coffee in hand. "Is that her?" "Yeah." "You gonna answer?" I shook my head. There's nothing to say that changes anything. Silence isn't punishment. It's boundaries. It's refusing to be recruited into somebody else's damage control. The next call was from her mother. I almost didn't pick up, but a part of me wanted to hear how far the script had already spread. "Michael," she said, tight and sharp, like I'd offended her personally. "What is going on?" "She knows what's going on," I said. "She told me you ran out," her mother snapped. "After one conversation. Are you out of your mind?" "One conversation," I repeated. "That's what she called it?" "She was trying to be honest," her mother said. "People go through phases. You're throwing your marriage away instead of fighting for it." I leaned back against Jake's counter and stared at the wall. It was amazing how fast betrayal gets rebranded when it's your daughter doing it. "I did fight for it," I said. "By being loyal. By building a life. She's the one who decided that wasn't enough." Her mother's voice rose. "So you're just going to punish her? Humiliate her?" I kept my tone even. "I'm not punishing anyone. I'm leaving a situation I didn't consent to. You're making her look like a—" "I'm not making her anything," I said. "I'm just not covering for it." A hard silence. Then, colder. "You're being stubborn. Prideful. Call it what you want," I said. "I'm done." I hung up before she could keep going. 10 minutes later, a mutual friend, Mark, texted me like he was sending a calendar invite. "Mark, hey man, heard things are rough. Maybe y'all should try counseling? Don't throw it away." Counseling. Like this was about dishes and date nights. Like the issue was miscommunication instead of months of deception and an open marriage pitch delivered like a sales proposal. I didn't respond. Then more messages from Rachel, screenshots of old photos, wedding pictures, vacations. Proof we'd once been happy. Like happiness was a contract she could cash in after breaking trust. "Rach, remember this? We were good. Rach, this isn't who I am. Rach, Dylan doesn't matter. You matter." That last one almost made me laugh. If I mattered, he wouldn't exist in the first place. Jake came into the living room and tossed me my phone after I'd set it down. "You're quiet." "I'm choosing it," I said. "They want me back in the ring. Back in the argument." "So don't go," he said simply. I nodded. People like pressure because it makes them feel involved without taking any risk. They call it support. It's really uncomfortable. Rachel's mother wanted me to absorb the shame so her daughter didn't have to. Friends wanted me to smooth it over so group dinners didn't get awkward. Rachel wanted me to stay close enough that her choices didn't cost her the life she'd built on my stability. But I wasn't carrying it. I turned my phone off and set it face down on the table. No speeches, no debate, no back and forth. Just silence on purpose, because the only power left in a broken marriage is the power to stop participating. 2 days later, an email hit my inbox that didn't belong there. It came from Rachel's company, one of those automatic HR distribution lists I'd been on back when we still did family at the office stuff. Most of the time I ignored them. This one had an attachment. Subject line: Team lunch rotation, Q4. Neat, corporate, boring. I opened the PDF anyway. Names in columns, weeks, pairings, and there it was in clean company font like the world didn't care what it meant. Rachel Turner, Dylan Brooks. Again and again. Rotations that didn't look like random lunch buddies. It looked like someone making sure 2 people ended up in the same places at the same time with just enough structure to call it work. So that was Dylan, the man behind Samantha HR. I didn't feel rage. Rage would have meant there was still something to protect. What I felt was a grim kind of relief. Proof so clean it didn't require interpretation. I forwarded it to my attorney with no message. No commentary. Just the document. Then I went to work. My job didn't care about my personal life, which was a mercy. Emails still came. Meetings still existed. The world still spun like my marriage hadn't just collapsed in my hands. That evening, Rachel asked to meet. Not at the house. Not to talk. She suggested a public place like she was trying to look reasonable. We met at a diner off the highway, vinyl booths, neon beer signs, waitresses who'd seen every kind of breakup there is. Rachel slid into the booth across from me wearing makeup she didn't need. Hair done. Outfit chosen. That told me she still thought presentation mattered more than truth. Her eyes were red, but controlled. She'd practiced. "Thank you for coming," she said. I didn't answer that. I just looked at her until she filled the space. "I've been thinking a lot," she began, "and I think we moved too fast. Filing, it's so final. What if we treat this like a trial separation?" There it was, the rebrand. Divorce into space. Consequences into pause. Betrayal into growth. I kept my voice calm. "The papers are already filed." Her mouth tightened. "Michael." "No," I said. Same word as before. Same finality. She stared at me like she couldn't understand how I could be this steady. Like I was supposed to be emotional enough to manipulate. "I made one mistake," she whispered. I met her gaze and didn't blink. It wasn't one. It was months. It was hiding. It was refusing transparency. And it was you asking me to sign off on it after the fact. Tears spilled then. Real ones, maybe, or just late ones. "I never wanted to lose you," she said. I nodded once. "Then you shouldn't have tried to keep me while shopping for someone else." She reached across the table like she was going to touch my hand. I moved mine back and wrapped it around my water glass instead. Small boundary. Clear message. I stood. Any communication goes through the lawyers. Her face crumpled. "So that's it." I looked down at her and I didn't hate her. Hate would have been more effort than she deserved. "That's it," I said. I walked out into the night air and sat in my truck for a moment, listening to the engine tick. The world felt quieter now. Not because it was peaceful, but because I wasn't arguing with reality anymore. The next morning, I started running again. Before sunrise. The Texas sky is still dark, streetlights humming. My lungs burned. My legs complained. Good. Pain you choose is honest. I ran until my chest opened up and I could breathe deep without feeling like my ribs were full of glass. I wasn't happy. Not yet. But for the first time in a long time, I felt steady air in my lungs and a kind of peace that didn't require anyone's permission.
Subscribe and stay one step ahead of cheaters. And trust me, the next story makes this one look like a fairy tale.